Hello and welcome to another episode of Salary Voodoo, the show right here on the MMA Engine channel, where I, your host Monk, aka the Monkmatician, bring you three fights that we're going to be breaking down from what I call a Salary Voodoo perspective to help you build those GPP lineups a little bit better, guys. I have actually we'll get into that in a minute. Before we do, hit the like on this video, subscribe to the MMA Engine. It's me, Brady, Weezy, and Betya bringing you content every single day before each and every pay-per-view card. Actually, before each and every UFC card. What am I talking about? Guys, let's get right into the Salary Voodoo. And you may be asking yourself, what is Salary Voodoo? Where here are some of the parameters, or the rules as we call them. Salary Voodoo offers stats that aim to give you a fresh, unique angle when it comes to MMA DFS lineup construction, particularly for GPP tournaments. I glean stats from historically unusual places, such as salaries, fight positions, weight classes, etc., probability based and very overanalyzed most likely. Stats are tracked for this video since 1/1/21, and only natural salaries are used. But guys, most importantly, be sure to comment the fight you want to see next week, or the fights rather, you want to see next week for UFC Charlotte from a Salary Voodoo perspective. Please leave it in the comments below. It's so much better when you guys type the fights that you want to see. That way I'm not picking them. We don't know the salaries yet, so that is part of the fun. So be sure to comment down below the fights you want to see broken down from a Salary Voodoo perspective. UFC Charlotte next week. And the first fight that we're going to go over for Salary Voodoo is going to be Marina Rodriguez versus Virna Jandiroba. Now, guys, we're not doing Salary Voodoo. We don't talk about fighters, We just talk about salaries and the stats that go with salaries. So no fighter stats are used in this video. It should be noted. This one's picked by Sammy Paradise. Strawweight fight, 115. Strawweights make the optimal lineup 47.89% of the time. Fight number 6, very good fight to target as far as optimal goes, making it 5 out of 9 times, or 55.56%. And the salary pair of 85 and 77 is a very good pair to target, 87.14% optimal when they fight. And you are getting 4.78% leverage on that. So people are not playing this fight, they're playing this fight 5% too low. They're rostering this fight 5% too low. So you can get some leverage here. The average ownership for 8,500 is 27.86%. And the leverage there is 4.79%. So almost 5% over-owned on average for the $8,500 salary. Orthodox fighter. Finish win rate for this salary is 27.5%. Decision rate is 20. Meanwhile, for 7,700, same exact finish win percentage, but the decision rate is about 3.5% higher for the underdog. Average ownership is 24%. And we're getting 10% leverage on 7,700, meaning it makes optimal lineup 10% higher than its average ownership. So get 7,700 in your lineup. Now we'll go into some individual optimal or salary statistics. 8,500 is made optimal 21 out of 91 times. That's 23% optimal, 48% win rate, and when it does win, it makes optimal 47.73% of the time, scoring 111.45 on average. 7,700 is better everywhere, and it's clear, 31 times out of 91, so 10 more times it's been optimal than its $8,500 counterpart. That is a 34% optimal rate. That's one of the highest on the entire card. Anything over like high 20s, low 30s is extremely good. So we're about mid 30s here. 50.55% win rate. This is for an underdog salary, has an over 50% win rate, and when it does win, 20% more likely to make the optimal lineup than 8,500, 67.5% to 47.73%, and it only has to score 106.56 on average to make optimal. So you get 5 points of savings, you get 20 points more likely to be optimal in a win, and you get an over 50% win rate for 7,700, guys. So this is kind of what we're talking about with Salary Voodoo, a very interesting way to look at salaries and how they could be used in your lineup. So here, the underdog salary has a clear advantage over the favorite, and you can use that to your advantage, or at least we can make some lineups to help us be extremely efficient and try to reach the optimal lineup. So what do we have here? 8,500 versus 7,700. Do we have a blessed fight? Do we have a cursed fight? What kind of voodoo are we going to get for 8,500 versus 7,700? We got ourselves a Bernie. That is that good voodoo. You ever seen Bernie walking around? He's having a great old time. He's got that good voodoo on him. Never misses a beat on his vacation. That's that Bernie Voodoo. That's the one we want to see. So we've got good salary Voodoo here for 8,500 versus 7,700. 8.5 salary score for 8,500. That's about average, right in the middle of 30 salaries. 7,700, the fourth best salary overall, and it is a dog salary. So be sure to target this fight. It could be a sneaky fight. A lot of people are not going to be playing this because it's a women's fight and it's a women's strawweight fight. So you could find some leverage here if one of them does perform very well. Fight number 2 for Salary Voodoo, we've got the $9,200 fighter, Drew Dober, in this case, going against the $7K fighter, Matt Frevola. This one's picked by Carl Havoc. Lightweight fight here at 155, just under 50% optimal. Fight number 9, even worse, barely even 40% optimal when fight number 9 fights. And the salary pair of 9,200 and 7K is optimal only 42.86% of the time. And we have a positive 3.11% leverage. You never want to have positive leverage. That means you're putting them in your lineups too much compared to the optimal rate. So positive leverage, never good. Average ownership for 9,200 over 30.5%. The leverage on 9,200 is a positive 10%, meaning we're putting 9,200 in our lineups 10% too much, 10% more often than it makes the optimal lineup. That is not something you want to be doing. Southpaw versus Orthodox here. Southpaws win 53, almost 53.5% of the time over Orthodox fighters. Finish win rate for 9,200 is almost 30%. Decision win rate is over 40%. So that is a fantastic win rate for this favorite salary. The dog salary of 7K, average ownership of just 15%, and you're getting negative 7% leverage. So a ton of leverage on the 7K play if you like to, for you punt play fans out there, or Drew Dober haters, as it were. 13% finish win rate, 15.5% decision win rate. Orthodox beats Southpaw less than 45% of the time. These two salaries have fought 77 times since 1/1/21. 9,200 has made it one more time than 7,700, 16 times to 7,000s. 17 times. Optimal rate for 9,200 is 20.78, a 70% win rate, but when it does win, it only makes optimal 29.63% of the time, averaging 112.76 points. Meanwhile, 7K, as we said, made the optimal 17 out of 77 times, so one more time than its $9,200 counterpart. Again, a dog salary that ends up having better stats than a favorite salary. That is a 22% optimal rate. Neither optimal rate is good. Both are very subpar, but the favorite salary is just a bit worse. Win rate for 7K is 28.57%, but when it does win, guys, it makes optimal lineup 77% of the time. Average DraftKings points per optimal, not even 100 points, meaning, you think less points is worse, right? Well, think of it this way. That's the amount of points you have to score to make optimal. 90. I'd rather have to score 98 points than 112 to make optimal. So on average, you need 14 more points for 9,200 to make optimal than 7K. So there are definitely some advantages here for the 7K salary. Negative 7% leverage. I mean, do with that what you will, but at least it makes a case for Matt Frevola at 7K. What do we have? Do we have the good voodoo? Do we have the bad voodoo for 9.2 versus 7K? That's right, Frozen Jack. We've got that bad voodoo. If you don't see Bernie and you see Frozen Jack instead, think twice before you roster too much of this fight. Stay away. Now, Carl Havoc picked an interesting fight because this fight is going to be a banger. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with the Salary Voodoo, but maybe it'll temper my expectations a bit. 9,200, 9.61 salary score. That is 20th best out of 30 or 31 salaries, so the lower 2/3, and then 7K is just barely above that, 9.32, 18th best out of 30 or 31 salaries. So there you have it. Salary Voodoo does not like this fight, even though I might. All right, everyone, the third and final fight is going to be the co-main event that we're going to go over. 8,200 for Gilbert Burns, 8K for Bilal Muhammad. I am very much looking forward to this fight. Let's see if Salary Voodoo agrees with us here. This one's picked by New Joe, welterweight at 170. Whenever welterweights fight, someone makes optimal lineup 44.94% of the time. Again, subpar. Fight number 13 is a good fight to target. Someone from that fight makes the optimal lineup 56. 0.41% of the time. But when you put these two together, the salary pair is just under 50%, 1.51 leverage. So it's basically a 50-50 coin flip whether someone's going to make the optimal or not when 82 fights 8,000. Average ownership for 8,200, 26.5%. And we have positive leverage again on the favorite salary. That is not something we want to see. 3.5% positive leverage. So again, positive leverage means you're rostering the salary too often compared to how often it makes the optimal lineup, if that makes sense. Orthodox versus orthodox. Finish win rate for 8,200 is 26.5%. Decision win rate is 20.69%. So some okay numbers there, some not great leverage, and some not great salary pair voodoo either. 8K orthodox fighter win rate, finish win rate rather, of 19.5%. Decision win rate of 30%. Average ownership just a couple of points lower than its counterpart at 24.5%. And we do see that in negative leverage, negative 2% leverage. It's no negative 10% like we saw in one of the earlier fights on this show. But negative 2% meaning you're not rostering them, it should be around 26.5%. Instead, we're around 24.5%. So these two salaries have fought each other 87 times since 1/1/21. $8,200 salary has made the optimal 20 times out of those 87 fights for an optimal rate of 22.99%. Again, very low. You want to be high 20s, low 30s. And we are low 20s here. Win rate of 47%. And when it does win, it makes optimal less than 49% of the time. Those are not very good numbers, guys. You'd like it to be at least 50. Average DraftKings points per optimal is 110.64. So some not good numbers from the cheapest favorite salary. Let's see, 8K has made the optimal lineup 23 times out of those 87 fights for an optimal rate of 26.5%. Not ideal, but, 4 points almost better than 8,200. So it is a very good number compared to that. 8K has a win rate of 49.5%, almost 50%. Again, a dog salary with a better win rate than its favorite counterpart. And when it does win, it's optimal 53.5% of the time. Average DraftKings points per optimal, I should say, 103.82. So you save 7 points, you get 5% optimal in wins, better win rate, a better optimal rate. And personally, I think Bilal is gonna get it done. So I'm on the 8K side here. Hopefully the salary voodoo leaned you one way or the other. There's only one thing left to do. Do we have that good voodoo on 8,200 and 8K, or do we have that bad voodoo? What is this one going to be? Let's check it out before we get out of here. And you see Bernie on the screen. That means we got that good voodoo for Bilal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns, 8,200, 8K. 8,200 is really average for a salary score, 8.52. That is 16th best, again, out of 30 or 31 salaries, so right in the middle. And 8K is not much better, but it is 3 slots higher, 7.68 salary score, 13th best overall. So we're at the lower end of the top half of the salaries here. So we've got Birdie, New Joe picked a good fight, 8,200 versus 8K. Get one of these guys in your lineups. And just a quick recap before we get you out of here. Fight number 1 was a Bernie. We've got good voodoo for 8,500 Marina Rodriguez versus 7,700 Virna Jandiroba. Then we've got some bad voodoo for 9,200 Drew Dober versus 7K Matt Frevola. Even though I personally like that fight, salary voodoo does not. And then we finish it up with another Bernie, 2 out of 3 Bernies for 8,200 Gilbert Burns versus 8K Bilal Muhammad. So take those stats with what you will. I just try to show you a different side of some salary construction here, some stats that nobody else is going to have to be able to give you. So let's just hope to the MMA engine to bring you stuff that you wouldn't consider until seeing it, and that nobody else has. So guys, that is going to do it for UFC 288. Let's get you out of here. And thank you so much for joining me here on the MMA Engine. I have been off for a couple weeks from this show, particularly had a big move to do and a bunch of life stuff happening. But hopefully going forward, I won't have a problem putting out Salary Voodoo even earlier than it was this week. So guys, again, thank you for joining me. Hopefully this helps you build those GPP lineups. And as usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fights. So enjoy, and we will see you in the next one.